A guy once called me engineering hot. Not hot, not cute, not even, hey, nice haircut. Engineering hot. That's it for a second. Because it took me an embarrassingly long time to figure out what he actually meant. He meant, for an engineering girl, you're attractive. Adjusted for major. Like I was a stock he was rating on a curve. And I remember just standing there thinking, wait, so I'm hot, but only in a very specific zip code? Here's the part that actually gets me though, looking back and thinking about this situation that happened in college years ago. I kind of liked it. I was like, yeah, I'm pretty hot actually. Thank you for noticing, sir, on your little scale, whatever that is. Okay, so we're going to come back to that guy later. By the end of this episode, you're going to understand exactly what was wrong with that comment. And honestly, what was wrong with the fact that I liked it. But first, I have to take you back, way back to the version of me who spent an entire decade trying to disappear. Glasses on, hoodie up. Please, God, just don't look at me. Because that girl didn't just show up for one day, fully formed. She was built, piece by piece, decision by decision. And I want to walk through you exactly how, because I have a feeling some of you might understand and relate. So, get whatever emotional support beverage you need, and let's cozy up. I'm currently on our couch. It's raining outside. Our dog is falling asleep on our couch, and he's being such a good little boy. So let's get into it.
1, 2, 3, 4.
So it was fall of 2009. Massive university, really big engineering program, good old Penn State. And me, engineering major, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, 18 years old. My backpack was so heavy, it was legitimately reshaping my spine. Walking into a lecture hall the size of a movie theater. I sit down, I look around, and without even meaning to, I start doing this thing. I was counting very subconsciously, very like automatic. 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 other women in a room full of 200 men. Do you know what that feels like? Well, if you're listening to this, you probably actually do. It's like walking into a stadium where everyone's head turns at once. You can feel it. Like you can feel people's eyes on you. Not because you did anything, not because you said a word. You were just purely walking in and existing. It's because you existed in that space. So for the record, when I started mechanical engineering, women made up about 8% of the U.S. national average for people that were working full time. I think it was actually a little less than that. 8%. That's not even, that's like a rounding error. And so it's like a rounding error, but with a backpack. And I keep using this backpack analogy because I had the freaking biggest backpack in college. And nobody sits you down freshman year and goes like, hey, quick heads up. Here's how you handle 200 sets of eyes. Nobody preps you for that. You just show up and figure it out in real time without even really knowing that you're doing it, because it's just, again, it's so automatic, it's so very subconscious. while also simultaneously trying to learn statics, dynamics, and how not to bomb your first exam. So what does an overwhelmed 18-year-old do with attention that she never asked for? But it's kind of part of the gig, though. She builds a costume, a uniform. So I was deep, and I mean deep, in my cool girl era. You know, the one you pretend that you don't care. You pretend that you're chill. Everything's cool. Pretend that absolutely nothing bothers you. While internally, you are keeping a full, detailed, color-coded spreadsheet of every single thing that bothers you. I cared how I looked. I was 18. I cared how I was perceived. But I handled that by hoodie on, glasses on, makeup off, head down, get through the day, don't make a ripple, because I was there to get my degree. And I was like, all right, if I'm going to be one of very few women, I'm going to show, like, I'm going to act like I'm not messing around. I mean business here. And I want to be really clear about something. This was not a style choice. Nobody's out here saying, oh, I'm just a comfy hoodie kind of girl. And if you are, that's great. I love a good hoodie and I love a comfy set of sweatpants. This was camouflage for me. Every piece of it. Even if I couldn't have told you that at the time. Underneath all of it, there was this quiet, ugly little belief I'd absorbed without even noticing that you couldn't be smart and attractive. That it was one or the other. You pick a lane, you stay in it, and you do not merge. And I didn't invent this belief, to be fair to myself. I inherited it from movies, from magazines, from every hot girl versus smart girl trope in the 2000s and the 90s could possibly produce. I just picked it up like it was mine, then handed right back to myself every morning in the mirror, like some kind of terrible gift exchange. And spoiler alert, which isn't really spoiling alert, hiding did not stop the staring. Shocking. Like, this is groundbreaking. So then what? Well, this is where it kind of gets a little crazy. Here's the thing about being one of maybe 5 women maximum. That was like on a good day. That was on a good day when all the women in engineering were like, yeah, we're going to take this computational fluid dynamics class. That was when we were really on top of the world. Many times it was less than 5. And I want to be clear that what I'm about to say, it's not every guy. And it didn't need to be every single guy. It just needed to be enough guys, enough times to make you want to live inside this hoodie forever. And the social math, genuinely mathematically impossible, which is funny considering I was there in college and studying engineering to learn math, the language that was going to propel me into getting through my actual like engineering classes. So this is how it goes. Be friendly, you're a flirt. Be quiet, you're a bitch. Make eye contact, he thinks you're interested and you guys are going to go out on a date Friday night. Ask a question in class, somehow also flirting. I don't know how asking about the moment of inertia became a come on, but here we are. And this is not in your face like messaging. This is just very subtle subconscious level things that you start putting in your head because of conditioning, because of societal quote unquote norms, and just because of how when you feel like you're interacting with all these guys, right? And I want to be very clear about something else too. This is not a male hating thing. And this is a whole other episode, but men are given and men are conditioned in all sorts of ways of their own as well. So we're all just this whole hodgepodge of conditioning. So that, and there was no move on this board, because it was like quote unquote game, that didn't get misread by somebody. Let me give you an example. I had a friend, genuinely great guy, totally harmless. We were on a project together. He, like, somehow he was convinced that I was flirting with him. Why? Because I was being friendly. And that was the crime. Meanwhile, I was actually into a completely different friend of ours that was also on the same project. I was like completely bonkers over this dude. So now I'm in this accidental love triangle I didn't audition for. I didn't want any part in, and definitely did not rehearse for. And then a whole other side quest is that I'm getting Facebook friend requests from guys I literally have never spoken to. We might have locked eyes in the hallway of our ME building on the way to an exam, but I don't know you. And I'm fielding messages ranging from mildly awkward to cringe that you can feel like in your teeth. And I know I'm not the only one. I know for sure I'm not the only one. And all this happening, and I still had a problem set due at midnight. Engineering school for me wasn't just about calculus. It was doing a whole other set of emotional calculus on top of the actual, like, important calculus. Every single day before 9 a.m., someone was grading me on that part, but it's exhausting. You'd think, right? You'd think eventually after you graduate, you walk across that stage and this whole exhausting chapter just closes up behind you. Unfortunately, and maybe fortunately, it does not close. So this next part honestly surprised me the most. So like I was saying, graduation doesn't just hit reset. This is just the beginning for any major. It's just the beginning of a whole new chapter of many chapters of your life. I walked into my first real engineering job, badge, cubicle, the whole starter pack, and brought the same exact instincts with me, like they'd been packed in a box labeled fragile, do not unpack. Dress professional, but bland. Skip the makeup. Don't look too girly. Don't take up space. But also don't look like a schlep and work hard. Make somewhat of an effort, like brush your hair, wear dress pants, blah, blah, blah. I remember standing in my closet before my first day, thinking harder about what would make me invisible than what would make me look good. Because the unwritten rules felt identical to college, just with better lighting and a lanyard. Be friendly, but not too friendly. Be confident, but not too confident. Be feminine, but not too feminine. Be visible, say it with me now, but not too visible. I wasn't trying to be an engineer who happened to be a woman. I was trying to be an engineer who happened to be invisible. I just wanted to do the job without being misread, miscategorized, or setting off somebody's radar in a meeting. And here's the thing that really gets me looking back. I was good at my job, like genuinely good. And I was burning this incredible amount of energy managing a uniform on top of doing the actual work. It truly felt like 2 full-time jobs. Only one of them I was actually getting paid for. So how do you get out of that? Because there's some light here at the end of the tunnel, which it's not even nearly the end of the tunnel, but because I did eventually get out, and that's why I'm here to talk about it today, because I know so many women can relate to this, not only in engineering, not only in STEM, but in business, in law, all sorts of areas that are male populated industries. And it wasn't some big dramatic movie moment. It wasn't like some lightning bolt, no mirror shattering montage. It was slower than that. And honestly, it's a bit anticlimactic. It started to click slowly, quietly, not one big moment, more like 100 tiny little ones stacking up until I looked around and realized something had already changed. Hiding wasn't protecting me. It was just shrinking me. I wasn't avoiding attention. I was avoiding who I was, myself. And here's the realization that actually cracked it all open for me. There was no version of this game I could win. Not the cool girl game, not the don't be too girly game, not the please don't be weird today game, not the please God let today be the day nobody comments on anything about me game, and etc. etc. We could list out 20 of these. The rules, though, quote unquote rules, weren't built for me to win. They weren't really even built for anyone in particular. So I started to stop playing slowly, imperfectly. I'll be honest, I'm still doing this some days. This isn't a and then I was fixed forever story. It's still ongoing. But I started dressing how I actually wanted to dress. The makeup came back. Not because I needed it, but because I wanted to. And that distinction matters more than it sounds like it should. The parts of myself I used to sand down and edit out started quietly showing back up. And the part that honestly shocked me, it didn't really shock me like some earth-shattering thing, but nothing really happened. Nothing exploded. My career didn't collapse. Nobody spontaneously combusted in a meeting because I wore a little bit of makeup. I just started existing as the whole, actual, unedited version of myself. And I can't stress this enough. This is an ongoing journey for me. And it turns out that I look a lot, it took a lot less energy than hiding did. Hiding takes a lot of energy. And I always think back to, and maybe this is the nerd in me, the engineer in me, but, conservation of energy. So if you're going to use the same amount of energy to do something that probably isn't the best for you, it probably isn't the healthiest for you and your mind and your wellness and your body, it's going to take the same amount of energy to move towards something that will nourish you, your mind, your body, and your soul. And it kind of is the same amount of energy. It's just how you want to use it. And that's a very, maybe even oversimplified way to describe it, but it's kind of going to be what it is no matter what avenue you take. If you told 18-year-old me that, she wouldn't have believed you. She thought the hiding was safety. And that's fair, because that's a very natural reaction to try to keep yourself safe by keeping yourself small. Going back to the beginning of this episode, engineering hot, adjusted for major, graded on a curve. Here's what I know now that I didn't know then. That comment was never really about me. It was about a system that had already taught both of us that smart and attractive were supposed to be the opposites, and that a woman in a room like that needed to be ranked, adjusted, and footnoted. And I don't think that way anymore. And honestly, I hope he doesn't either. Part of me thought, well, I was already doing something what seemed so radical to even be in that room. And I didn't want to seem like I was a girl or a woman that was trying too hard, because that goes back to that cool girl kind of thing where you just roll out of bed and you woke up like this. Part of me just was like, I don't want them to think that I was trying too hard, and by trying to get all these men to like me, like in a romantic way or physical way. And you can't control what people think, period, ever. And I didn't know that then. So if any of this sounds familiar, if you've ever made yourself smaller just to get through a room, an environment, if you've built your own version of the Hoodie-and-Glasses fortress, I want you to know that I've been there. I lived there for a decade. And it comes in and out once in a while. Sometimes I go on a little vacation and go and dip into that world and then be like, no, bitch, you're over this, or you're not over this, but there's another way. And then I come back to not thinking like that. And you don't have to live there forever. And if anyone ever calls you engineering hot or lawyer hot or doctor hot. Just know this. You're hot. Full stop. Period. No major required. No zip code attached to it. So before you go and we sign off, a couple of quick things. If you want more of this, come and find me on Instagram. I'm She's Been Through Some Shit at She's Been Through Some Shit. Same as the show. That's where I'm posting some of the behind the scenes type stuff, how I make these episodes, how I record them, how I write the scripts and all that kind of thing. Full disclosure, I'm learning a lot of this on the fly. So you'll see all those behind the scenes type stuff. The stories that didn't make the cut, and also same handle on YouTube. That's where I also post some of more like vlog type things and some of the things that I do like when I'm not recording and when I'm not talking about women in engineering. And if you're the type who likes all things in one place, you could subscribe on Spotify, follow on YouTube, whatever your platform of choice is, just hit that button so you don't miss the next one. And if this episode hit home, I've got a whole back catalog waiting for you. You can go binge the other ones. I promise there's also more coming. I have a list of 30 or so episodes that I just always like in my Google Keeps app. I always put things in that come up in my mind, and I have a lot of ideas and a lot of thoughts on things. So there's a lot more episodes coming. And if you've got 30 seconds, a rating genuinely helps me. I have 3 5-star reviews. So whoever did that, thank you so much. It really genuinely helps. It's how the show finds the next person who might need to hear it. Every single one adds up more than you'd think. So thanks a lot for hanging out with me today. Feel free to send this to a friend who might need it. New episode is coming soon. Until then, keep questioning the outdated advice we never asked for, but somehow absorbed anyway. And if you're still here, genuinely, thank you. This is a passion project of mine, and it means a lot to me that anybody is even listening to this. So thanks so much.